is not even able to see that. So we're totally going on kind of not just a hunch, an educated guess, but experience. And it's one of those things that when you start to see these highlights in these wind fields, that is something that is of concern. This continues to move to the northeast. We got a little spin going on here to the east of Canton as this storm continues to move off toward the county line area over toward Mahoning and Columbiana counties too. We'll kind of scooch off to the east just a little bit. And again, this is just broad level rotation. We're really not seeing anything grand out of this. And I mean, as far as tornado warnings go, this is the kind that you want to have because it's not necessarily producing widespread damage. But we have had some damage reported throughout the day today, on and off with the thunderstorms because of high wind, not necessarily swirling winds, but straight line winds can cause quite a bit of damage as well. And if we zoom out, let me zoom out a bit here. We'll kind of go out into the big picture and take a look. And you can see this wind field as it's continuing to move up to the east. Red means outbound, green means inbound, and we get red and green together. That's that indication of swirling going on. So we've got high wind threat and then also that swirl that the National Weather Service thought was just enough to go ahead and issue that kind of a warning. Now, I'm going to put on the reports from the day today, and you can see we have these little tree icons. This is where wind damage has been reported, specifically tree damage. We've had power outages. This does not include all the power outages and tree damage that was reported around greater Cleveland and the lakeshore areas this morning. This is specific to this afternoon, and then especially in Trumbull County. These are the areas that we had the possibility of some of those trees down earlier today. Let's query this and see if we can get a report here. This is Newton Falls, several large branches down greater than 2 inches. So there has been some damage from the thunderstorms today, but look where this tornado warning is. There's nothing being reported as of right now. And of course, it's all just about the possibilities. And when you get into these situations, it's kind of a catch-22 because if you don't go with it, if you don't report it, if you kind of poo-poo it, so to speak, and something does happen, well, now you're on the hook for that. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I know you guys hate to hear me say that, but that's the case. And typical to Northeast Ohio, nothing is ever clear-cut, nothing is ever perfect, and so we've got to go with the best information we have possible. So this particular storm warning here, this tornado warning for the southern portions of Stark County will continue past the 5 o'clock hour, about 5:15 or so, that will expire. And I think this will probably be discontinued ahead of time. Outside of all of that, we have a big shift in wind that will be coming our way as we go through the rest of the night tonight, and that is because of a front coming through. Now, you saw the severe thunderstorm watch box. That's this yellow shading that you see here, and that is going to continue to expire from west to east as the front pushes through northern Ohio. You can see the greens here and the reds here. That's an indication that we have a west wind that is building in, and that west wind, of course, will be behind the front. We have very gusty winds being reported in downtown Cleveland, points to the west, and that's not associated with any thunderstorms. This is just simply a pressure differential as that front goes by. Another interesting thing to note, when you get into these velocity things, you see these bright colors here. This is an indication of very high-speed winds. But just as I was telling you that this particular wind surge or the flow that we have going on, the circulation we have going down in Stark County is far away from the radar beam, and so it's shooting up higher. You can pick up some pretty high wind speeds out to the east once you get into the edges of the beam capacity here. And as we click on this, look at this 54-mile-per-hour winds showing up. Remember, that's probably up at about 9,000 feet or so over there in northern portions of Pennsylvania. So that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's hitting the ground. But farther down here into Stark County, that's where we're getting the circulation. And certainly it is still showing up as some circulation, but because it is high up in the atmosphere, probably about 7,000 to 8,000 feet, you kind of go, all right, well, what are we looking at here? And it's not necessarily showing that really tightly packed. Matt has turned on the Pittsburgh National Weather Service radar. It's a cutoff. This is territory that's tough to track in, and that is simply because Stark County is covered by the National Weather Service office in Cleveland. Tuscarawas and Carroll counties are covered by the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh. So you kind of have where the beams cross here, and sometimes that can be a good indication. It gives you another view of the storm, and I'm just not seeing that big circulation. There's probably some type of broad circulation happening. And Matt, I don't know if you've seen anything in the chat. Has anybody reported anything down that way?
Yeah, nothing in the chat right now. Some reports coming out of Trumbull County. That's from a storm earlier. But Betsy, looking where that warning was initially issued with that storm has lost pretty much all of its rotation. But there's a storm just down to the south and the west south of Canton now, near East Sparta and Waynesburg. That's kind of picked up rotation a little bit. Okay. So we'll continue to track that one. It's in the warning watch box, but a little bit of rotation picked up with that storm in addition to the heavy rain that we're seeing down there as well.
Okay, so we have the smoothed radar, so to speak, here. This is Matt's radar that he's keeping an eye on. And you can see there's kind of that curvature there to the east of Duber Avenue Southwest and to the west of 800, that little notching. That's an indication that of some rotation within that thunderstorm. But keep in mind, again, we're looking at broad picture, and this is what we're looking at right here. That's that little bit of circulation that he was indicating. That's to the southeast of Canton, right? I'm just making sure we're lined up.
Yeah, south and east, south of Louisville.
Right here, yeah, right here. That's that circulation. That's the next one. So we kind of have these generations. Now, keep in mind with these thunderstorms, we've got a line that's moving through. And as these individual thunderstorms move in the line, sometimes they clang into each other. They are all putting out their own wind flows, and you can get a cross in the wind flows and you get a little spin up. It happens, right? This is not the supercellular big thunderstorms that they get out in the plain states. Not the case at all. Probably, though, this thing is wailing down some rain. You're probably hearing a lot of thunder and getting some gusty winds. And, of course, as I mentioned before, the National Weather Service is going to issue a tornado warning when they feel the threat is high enough based on the best available information, and that is via radar. And they're going to continue to do the best they can and keep everybody prepared. That's their whole mission, and that's, of course, our mission, too. We see the possible, and we're also going to prepare you, not scare you. You've heard that for a long time here at Channel 3. And then, of course, we're also going to keep it real, because that's the way it is. Mapleton, Myers, Freeburg, that's this whole little next batch of the possible rotation there in southern portions of Stark County. Thunderstorms rotate. They do it all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to become a tornado. Remember, tornado is a very focused, small-scale circulation of the wind at high speeds. All thunderstorms, especially hefty thunderstorms, are going to spin. And that's when you get those nice big pictures of those smooth thunderstorms and whatnot. Even smaller thunderstorms can be problematic with spin, but broad scale spin, no worries. It's that small scale stuff that we have to worry about. And there is just a faint indication of that going on here in southern sections of Stark County. Now, as far as the warnings go, I did mention before that we do have this tornado warning. This is south of Canton, south or just about clipping into Louisville and then out toward the Minerva area. It's already by Bethlehem, Bolivar, Zor, Wilmot, not even in that anymore. This is all south of Canton and moving eastbound. This is, of course, also missing all of the festivities going on with the Hall of Fame that's continuing, the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies and whatnot that are down in the Canton area. This is all south of that and will continue to move out to the east. Notice we have not had a continuation of the warning. We don't even have a severe thunderstorm warning downwind of this thing as it continues to move out. So, Matt, do you have any new stuff that's popping?
Yeah, no reports. The report that just came in is from an old storm, the one that affected Richland County earlier. They had some wind damage, lots of trees and power lines down there, but nothing to report with this storm. If you are seeing something, go ahead and take to Twitter. Again, 3weather, you can use the hashtag that or WKYC if you have any reports. Just really important to note, though, if you're watching from Canton proper itself, you are in the clear with this storm. This storm is just southeast of you. So from Canton north, Massillon, you're fine. Louisville, you're fine as well. This storm is just south of you. We're talking just north of the town of East Sparta, Sandy. That is the most important part of the storm. And Betsy, looking at the latest high-res velocity here, this rotation started starting to pick up. As you said, it doesn't mean there's a tornado on the ground, but we can look up into that cloud and tell when it is spinning, which eventually could lead to a tornado. But right now, looking kind of broad, but it has tightened up just a little bit here in the last couple scans, and that's just south and east of the East Canton community along Route 44, 43, and 183. All those areas, if you are underneath this tornado warning, you want to be in a safe place right now, a basement or interior room inside your house.
Interior room, away from windows, away from walls, closets, underneath stairwells, and bathrooms, always good. Got an email from a gal named Michelle. She says, hey, interrupting a show for 15 minutes to repeat and repeat and repeat is nothing but annoying. I apologize, but the FCC, our government overlords, have mandated that this is what we get to do. And believe me, it is quite a bit of work to have to do this. It blows up our day as well. And unless you are under this thunderstorm at any particular time, it does not pertain to you. But unfortunately, we can't split signals and be specific to that. So I appreciate everybody's patience out there. These are stressful times for us. These are stressful times for the people in the path of these storms. So please be respectful of others around you. I know it's hard, but I appreciate it. And this is what we have to do. So it's hard to apologize because I really don't want to, but it is customer service oriented. That's what we do here. And we're just trying to keep everybody safe at this point. All right. Matt just mentioned southern portions of Stark County. We're going to repeat it again, Michelle and everybody else out there, to the east, southeast of Canton, south of Louisville. Matt was indicating earlier, and it is definitely tightening up a little bit here on the reflectivity, the raindrops view of the storm itself as it continues to move off to the northeast through Myers and west. The good news here, this is not cutting through Canton, although Canton is going to be getting in on some very heavy rain very soon. You can see the lightning bolts that are showing up just to the east of Canton out around the Louisville area. And then there's also this heavier rain that's off to the south as well. Now you can see how this kind of clicks back and forth. That's hitting between two radars. So we're going to stick with this Pittsburgh radar because I think this has a better shot of it, of course, and it does continue to move out to the east. About to cross over US 30. Not so sure we got a lot of hail in this. We've had some hail reports earlier, but this is interesting. There's an update. Do you see this extra little box that's in here? That's a continuation. That's a more focused tornado warning. It's a tornado warning that has been updated as second warning that's within this particular area off to the south. And that is because of this rotation that we've been watching that is tightening up again. And as you can see, it's right here, this little spot. See how it's like a little ball in amongst all of the greens? That's that indication of the rotation. And let me put this into some play mode here for you, and you can kind of see how this is going to continue to move to the northeast. So just in the last second or two, they dropped the bigger tornado warning. Okay, so they're focusing in. We're now just specifically focused in here on southeast Stark County, south of US 30 for right now. This is going to cross US 30 and continue to move up through, I think we're down around Osnaburg right now, probably just north of Minerva. There's Osnaburg, so right along 44. This is right at 30 and 44 right now. Let me move this. There we go. Boy, we are right on the edge of these beams. And you can certainly see that we have this kind of little hole right here to the south of Osnaburg. I still think this is broad circulation. Not so sure this is a real focused low-level circulation, broader circulation, but enough that the National Weather Service decided to go ahead and issue the warning. We will respect that. A good friend of mine, James Spann, who's a meteorologist, legendary meteorologist in Birmingham, Alabama, always says respect the polygon. I look at the radar. I'll tell you what I think the radar is showing me, but the National Weather Service folks are also watching the radar. They're the ones issuing the warnings. We respect the polygon, and we will continue to respect this polygon as well. I think it will continue to move a little bit farther north up toward 172. So just so everybody's in the know here, this is the particular point where we are picking this up, and we're going to move it out to the northeast over about the next 15 minutes or so. It's going to track over toward the county line area. Myers is in line here. We've got some townships out in here, a lot of Farmville going on, but certainly that is a possibility. And there's a radar update. You see how this circulation is moving just east now of Osnaburg. And it definitely is looking like we're getting some more color in there. Matt, you want to take a look at that from a different perspective?
Yeah, absolutely.
On your side of things, too? Let me Yeah, see that? There you see the storm relative winds. So basically what you do is you take the storm motion out and you just look at the swirling winds within the storm itself.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing. You know, it tightened up over the last scan, and then it kind of went loose again, and now it's kind of tightened up again there, Betsy. This is all north of Malvern. James Spann, I was from down in the Georgia area, at least that was the last station, from Northeast Ohio, and he always says who's in, who's out, because I think that's really important. So if you're in Louisville right now, Canton, this is not going to affect you. This is all south and east of town, as you said, Betsy. A lot of farming out here near US 30, 172 as well. So this is kind of a rural area of Stark County, but still a pretty dangerous storm. And, you know, we're seeing this broad rotation. Could it be leading toward tornado? Possibly. It's not really looking like that well of a signature. We look for an even tighter rotation than what we have here. But again, we're respecting the warning that we have. And if you're not going to see a tornado, you're still going to see a rough storm. We have a lot of wind with this. We potentially have some small hail, some very heavy rainfall and lightning. So you don't need a tornado to be taking shelter right now. We need to be taking this storm seriously if you're anywhere south and east of Canton, south of the Louisville community in Stark County.
And going off of that, who's in, who's out, Cleveland's out, Akron's out, Medina's out, Sandusky's out. Most of northern Ohio's out. Let's face it, we're kind of in a small area here. So we appreciate everybody's patience who's also watching, because these folks are having a pretty rough time of it right now with this thunderstorm that is moving through. It can be very scary. You've all been through it. We've all been through it. And it's awesome when people kind of pull together and understand that, you know, somebody else is having a bad day. So we're just going to back off a little bit and let them do their thing, and that's what we're trying to do here. So just east of Osnaburg now on 30 is where that circulation is. It's projected to move out toward 172. We have a little circulation going on here. Yes, we are looking above the ground, broad circulation, but keep in mind we can't necessarily see what's going on underneath, and there's enough of a circulation that's why the National Weather Service went ahead and issued the tornado warning for southern sections and specifically southeastern portions of Stark County at this point. Let's turn on some of the bigger picture here, and let me scooch this up just a little bit, and we'll kind of get back into Stark County and move into the Pittsburgh Weather Service office's radar. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit better. This squirrely storm is the one that we've been concerned about, specifically this leading edge right here of this part of the storm that is just east of Osnaburg. When you get all this lightning, lightning is always an indicator of hail. Hail, of course, goes up. It gets bounced around in the thunderstorm, and that bouncing action and the static charge, the electrical charge that builds up between raindrops and hailstones and all of them getting tossed around, that eventually leads to these lightning strikes. These are probably big-time cloud-to-ground lightning strikes, loud cracks of thunder coming along with it. And there's an updated radar picture. Now we're moving to the east of Osnaburg. We're north of Minerva, south of Alliance. Canton proper, you're going to start to have your heavy thunderstorm backing off just a little bit. Louisville, your rain is about to pick up. And then as you head down toward the Tuscarawas and Carroll counties lines, you can see that heavy rain that continues to move to the east as well. Now, as far as the rest of the evening goes, we do indeed continue the chance for some rain showers and some thunderstorms as we go through the night. I'm going to reset a radar here. So, Matt, if you would be so kind as to kind of take over with that broad picture, show everybody the radar in greater scope, and we'll see that drier air from the west that's starting to punch in.
No problem. Yeah, we'll pull that up. Definitely a beautiful evening taking shape across northeast Ohio here once we get these storms out of here. Not all the storms are gone yet, so we've still got these severe storms down to the south, but most of us here are already in the clear in terms of severe weather, and most of us will be enjoying a very fall-like kind of crisp evening out there as we bring in not just breezy conditions, but lower humidity. You're already seeing it from Sandusky all the way down towards Mansfield. We said earlier via social media, that's the price we're paying. So we put up with these storms that are moving out right now, and then eventually we're going to bring in some much drier air here, which we're already seeing. That's going to lead to a beautiful fall-like weekend all across northeast Ohio. So kind of the broad scale view here. We've got some wind gusts out there approaching 20, 30 miles per hour off to the west, but you can see the cooler air that's working in from the west. We've got temperatures that are just downright comfortable out there, depending on where you are, but this is going to be the difference maker. here. We've got very dry air punching in from the west, as indicated by those dew points down in the 50s. So the murky air where the storms are right now, kind of in between from Cleveland down to Worcester. And then as you head into Mansfield and Elyria, we're talking very, very comfortable conditions with that drier air working in. So Weather Service just trimmed back that severe thunderstorm watch. Most of us not included now. It's included down in those southern counties that we continue to keep an eye on. Holmes County, Tuscarawas County, up towards areas of southeastern Portage and Trumbull counties. But I would imagine they're going to get cleared out shortly as well. But it's this storm right here that we continue to keep an eye on. We do have a tornado warning still, goes for about another 22 minutes for areas of extreme southeastern Stark County. That's an area that has a particular dangerous thunderstorm that we're tracking. All the rest are just kind of your run-of-the-mill storms with some gusty winds, some heavier rainfall, and yeah, lots of lightning. As Betsy said, these storms are really towering up in the sky. And we've had a lot of lightning with these storms over the last 24 to 36 hours, and it continues down here south of Canton. So Canton, you're still getting rain right now. Yeah, we have heavy rain falling south of Alliance. Louisville, you're getting heavy rain, but it's a storm right here, the part that we're looking at just north of Minerva along Route 30, Route 172, that has shown some signs of rotation in the past, and that's what's caused this tornado warning to be issued, and that's why we're on air, trying to keep those people safe that are seeing this potentially dangerous storm right now. Now, looking at the winds inside the storm, we can look up. That's that wind radar we show very often, the velocity product. We can actually see the winds going towards the radar and away from the radar, and when we see those in a tight little space, it indicates some rotation. That's what we are seeing right now. But really, Betsy, by all indications, my opinion, this isn't a very strong sign of rotation right now. There's still a little bit. But really, you know, I would be hesitant to say that there would be a tornado on the ground right now. This may be a wall cloud or just some rotation within the storm. I don't think it's anything that we need to obviously cause high panic north of the Minerva area.
Interestingly enough, Matt, we did get a picture in. And again, pictures are appreciated, but it's safety first, number one. Now, a couple caveats. When we show pictures, we don't have time to research them at this point. So we're kind of going on trust here. This is a picture, and if you'll tell me the gal's name again, I saw it, but there it is. So Antoinette in Waynesburg. So she took this picture. Safety first, but it certainly does look like a funnel there. And again, this is that radar showing broad scale circulation. We can only see up high in the storm, but that circulation could very well have come down. Now, we don't have any reports of damage out of this, but that being said, that certainly does look like something a little bit concerning. Keep in mind, there's also a thing called scud. Okay, scud are low-level clouds that are being sucked upward into the thunderstorm. It's basically rapid condensation in the updraft, and those can be very off-putting. A lot of people can see those and they immediately think, hey, that's a tornado, and it's not necessarily the case. Now, I'm not saying this isn't, but that's another option for that. So that picture from Antoinette in Waynesburg, certainly something that we will send out to the National Weather Service. So guys, if you would hit the NWSCLE Twitter account with that one, I would appreciate it, and they can take a look at it as well. A lot of times they will then go back and take a look at that and compare it to where it is in relation to the storms and what they were seeing as well. Now, there's the big picture. Matt just told us we do indeed have the severe thunderstorm watch that's been tapered off yet again. They're cutting counties out as time goes on. So Cleveland not in it, Sandusky, Mansfield, Ashland, Medina, Worcester, Akron, Chardon, Painesville, Ashtabula out of it now. But we have this severe thunderstorm watch that continues for these specific counties, and then, as we mentioned before, the tornado warning that is in southern portions and especially southeastern sections of Stark County, right up around Brown Township, and then Minerva is in on this as well. This is till 5:30. This was an updated tornado warning, and it was because of that possibility of some rotation here. We've been watching the velocity products on the various radars that are showing up, and it has been showing some circulation. The National Weather Service office radar out of Pittsburgh handles Tuscarawas and Carroll counties. So we're kind of right on the border, and I think it actually has a better shot of what's going on as far as that circulation goes. It's been showing a pretty positive picture for us throughout the afternoon. And again, I know that it's frustrating when you're sitting in Cleveland and you want to watch your programming and we're on talking about what's going on in Stark County, but it is a little bit of a concern. And of course, it's when the people in Stark County are watching the storm coverage for Cleveland. It's catch 22 for us, and it's a nice sharing opportunity for all of you. So that circulation, it's pretty broad. It's kind of disorganized, quite honestly. It's not really showing up beautifully. It's not showing us a massive wedge tornado on the ground, stovepipe, nothing like that. But you can see right there, just about ready to cross over into the Salem area and whatnot, which is out of our viewing area technically. So we'll be cutting you back to Dr. Phil here momentarily. But that would then carry on over toward the Salem area. And all that we have to deal with outside of that is just some good old-fashioned thunderstorms that continue here in northeast Ohio, specifically the southeastern corner of our viewing area, Stark, Tuscarawas, Carroll counties over into Mahoning and Columbiana counties as well. So I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to toss it back to programming at this point, send it back to Dr. Phil. We're going to keep an eye on it. If anything else crazy pops up, of course, we'll get back on. But for right now, we'll send you back to Dr. Phil. Thanks, everybody, for your patience. We appreciate it.
Kids, Josh Calder, and demand